Hi, my name is Josiah Shelley. Welcome to today's jam session. This is where we unpack ideas and enable marketing leaders to grow their team and their companies. And so today we're going to be talking about what is strategy. In my MBA, we had like a 3-hour discussion in a classroom of all these smart people talking about what in the world is strategy. And some people were sharing the perspective of, well, it's like a long-term plan. So there's 5 and 10-year objectives. And then we had arguments in the class about, well, isn't that just a plan? And it happens to be 5 or 10 years. And so we had to unpack like what strategy really is. And so as a marketing leader in your team, in your organization, as you're sharing about strategy, I think it's important to sort of align on what it really is. And we're gonna unpack that today, quick 5 minutes. I'm gonna share a story. And so at the end of it, hopefully we're on the same page of what strategy really is. So this all starts with, and the best illustration I can come up with is when I was growing up, I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and with my mom, we would go garage sailing on Saturdays. And I had 4 older siblings, so for me that was like my time with my mom. And so she would give me the newspaper and she would say, okay, Josiah, can you find where we're gonna get kids' toys, where we're gonna get some chairs and a table? And so I would go in the newspaper and circle all of those things. And then what she would do is she would give me a map. And it would be a map very similar to this. And she would say, okay, now that you've found where the places we need to go are, can you highlight them on the map? So I would literally go and I would start highlighting different locations. So this is Lee Street and Scroff, McCaff. So I would go and just start highlighting these because where I grew up, the closest town only had like 2 garage sales. So we had to drive maybe 15, 20 minutes to find more than that. And we would basically go in with this list. And if you remember these old cars, this is a GMC Jimmy. This is what we used to travel in. And so we could pack loads of stuff in here. And I was mom's little helper. And so we'd have all these highlighted areas on the map. And really it was just the one input. So when we showed up at Metcalfe Street in Simcoe, Ontario, we would literally have to say, okay, is the numbers going up on the street or down? How do we get actually to the garage sale? We're looking for signs and all these things. And we really just had one input. That was my highlighted areas. And this wasn't the best way to actually figure out where we should go and in what order, because we really had no idea what was the best route to take. We didn't know if there's traffic, we didn't know anything. And so the cool thing is that later on, as Google Maps developed, obviously we now had a better option for determining where to go. And so that would be something like this. So you open Google Maps, it gives you this highlighted route. And for anybody that says, oh, I don't like, Google and Facebook taking all my data, the fact of the matter is you love being in traffic then, because the only way that we actually have different locations and how to figure out where we should have alternative routes is because they have your data. So they look at your mobile device, they say, are you moving quickly or slowly? And then that's where you get these yellow and red areas based on that. And they look at historical data as well. So now we have more inputs, traffic data, not just the highlighted destination, and we've got alternative routes to get there. And some people's approach to strategy falls in this area. They have a few finite inputs that they use to determine what they're actually going to do. But then there's some companies that go a lot further than that. And I like to use the example of they have a Waze approach to strategy. If you've ever used this app, it's by far the best, in my opinion, to actually route yourself to a specific destination. What's cool is that they have things like where the police are. And so people are actually, it's a little scary to say people are reporting where the police are, but they are reporting where the police are in your map, so you can see police up ahead. It's not important to me, I never speed, so it's not an important input. But there's also like accidents, or if there's potholes in the road. There's just multiple inputs, so you get a very specific route to reach the destination. And you also know why you got there, because you can see all these different inputs mapped to your destination. And so this is sort of, I think, 3 camps that companies fall into as it relates to strategy. Either they're just highlighting things on a map and they're just saying, these are the 5 things we need to do this year, let's go guys. they're using some inputs to reach that determined destination, or they're more in the Waze approach. They've got multiple sources of inputs, multiple sources of data, and they're really sorting out how do we get to where we need to go. And so to me, it's about being intentional about the actions you need to take to reach that determined destination that you've defined. And intentional means that you have figured out why you're doing what you're doing and how you're gonna get there. And so if we kind of wrap this up, what is strategy? I think it's important to realize that yes, it is a plan, but it's about those intentional actions to reach that determined destination. And if you as a marketing leader want to grow your team, want to grow your company, you're gonna have to map those intentional actions and then obviously action on them to get them done. And so that's today's jam session. I want to talk about what is strategy. I hope that helps, and we'll see you next time.